Welcome to Toffee TV, joined by Paul McAllister, and we're going to have a chat about Leighton Baines. What a man. 35, nearly 36, played on Sunday against Manchester United, Paul, and was one of the best, I'd say one of the best players on the pitch still at that age.
For me, he was probably our man of the match, I felt.
Yeah.
And it's just classic Leighton Baines. He flies under the radar. Less is more with him, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And he doesn't look 35. Do you know what I mean? Look at him.
Yeah.
Especially when he's got that nice haircut as
I
well,
know,
back to school haircut.
Yeah.
But he's got to be probably David Moyes' best signing.
Do you think?
He's right up there.
He's
If he's not number one, he's in the top three.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And he's probably, would you go as far to say he's one of the best signs of the Premier League era for Everton?
I would say so. £6 million, I think it
Yeah.
was. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's been here about 13 years now, isn't he? 20.
I remember when he signed, he couldn't get a game.
It was. Didn't play at the start, did he? Because obviously Moyes used to like that, bringing them in and integrate them, and then and obviously Lescott was in there playing well, wasn't he? But you're right, one if not Moyes' best. Obviously, people would probably quote Tim Cahill or Arteta, maybe, or even Seamus Coleman for 60 grand. But him, what a footballer! Absolutely brilliant. We've seen him. He hasn't played much because obviously Luca Dean come in, and I suppose, me personally, the biggest compliment I can pay Luca Dean is when he come in and didn't really miss Leighton Baines as much as what I thought we were going to miss him. But I don't think Dean's been great this season. Yeah, he certainly hasn't been as good as he was last season.
No.
But the times when Baines has had to come in, he's looked absolutely brilliant, hasn't he?
Well, he just doesn't age, does he? He's like wine, isn't he? He doesn't age physically. I know he's had a few injuries over the years, but the injuries don't seem to have really made him lose anything overall. I mean, he still reads the game brilliantly.
Yeah.
He still got his legs enough. I know he can't be bombing up the wing every single game. 38 times a season anymore. But he reminds me a lot of Ryan Giggs in the sense that even though he's got older, he's changed his game physically, and he now does things a lot better than he did when he was younger in his prime. So those players, you just keep them around for as long as they're willing to stay around, as far as I'm concerned.
Fair enough. I mean, I think the big thing about him is he's such a good footballer, isn't he? His left foot is fantastic.
It's a wand, isn't it?
Great passer at the ball. I always think, I mean, don't tend not to give Roberto Martinez too much, praise. But I actually think he might have had something when he said he could go and play in the centre of the pitch, because he reads the game brilliantly. And I still look now and think sometimes he could probably do a job in the centre of our midfield, just sitting. But because he is such a clever footballer, isn't he?
Well, he wants to turn him into Philip Lahm, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, he said he took him to Germany to watch Bayern a couple of times to basically study Lahm and see what he does. And ultimately things went south with Martinez, and it didn't end up panning out, did it? And I don't think any manager since has really given it much thought, the idea.
Do you think he would have done that, Martinez, if he'd have stayed, if he'd been allowed to stay around?
He was talking about it, I think, in the first season, wasn't he?
First or second.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just circumstances, because form didn't go the way we wanted it to, so he felt he couldn't experiment. But by the end of Martinez's final year, the third season, I don't think we'd seen it at all.
No,
maybe the odd, did we say it? Maybe the
I
odd
think
cup
he
game.
played once there against Newcastle away, I think, over Christmas, and we lost the game 3-2, and it's not need done. But I don't really think he experimented with it again. But it's certainly an interesting one. But he stayed a left back, and he's been, like you said, he's been absolutely amazing. He was one of those players that, as he was getting a bit older and not able to do, well, like you said, bomb up and down, you were worrying, going, who can we bring in? Who's going to be able to do that? And like I say, Luca Dean coming's been fantastic for Everton. He really has. Great signing for £18 million. And as he does some things not as well as Baines, and he does other things probably slightly better than Baines. But as a player and a consistent performer for Everton, he's been incredible for me.
Yeah, you can't pay him too many compliments at all. For me, he's one of the English players who, if he'd have gone abroad at some point in his career, he would have thrived, I think.
Yeah.
There's some English players you think, put them in La Liga or put them in Germany. They might, especially La Liga, it's too technical for them. Whereas I think Baines would have absolutely been brilliant out there. He could have played for a top 4 team, an Atletico, a Valencia, easily. I know obviously he's a home bird, and we're made up we've got him to stay here at Everton, haven't we? But Baines, for me, he's got everything apart from maybe a bit of size and physicality. But when you're just that good technically, he's made up for it.
He has. We've seen him Manchester United away. Thought he was magnificent this season. He was great against Leicester at home in the cup. scored that worldie in the last... I mean, I've been reading something out about him actually celebrating, saying he just doesn't like celebrating. He's not, he doesn't like it to be about him. He said, I tried to force a couple of celebrations, but I wasn't comfortable with it, so now I just turn and walk back, and it's like, that sums him up. You know, he doesn't want to be the centre of attention. You know, we see it off the pitch, you know, he walks around loving Bowl Street taking pictures, you know, with Tom Davis and having a cup of coffee in the local establishments. And I think he is super cool, we know that, but he's got, for a lad who's, you know, been in the Premier League for 13 years, there's none of that nonsense that other Premier League footballers have about him, is there? No,
he lives in the real world, doesn't he? He's very down to earth, and he's the right character. You say that a lot, all these pundits on telly, when they're talking about rebuilding these teams like United and things like that. You've got to get the right characters, you've got to get the right characters. They need characters who are like that. Leighton Baines would have been a brilliant sign for United had they got him. Made up they didn't, made up we got him instead, but Stephen Naismith was like that as well, just one of these really salt of the earth type of guys where you think he wasn't a footballer, he'd be doing something in a job in some industry somewhere, and he'd be at the top of his industry, and that's what he did. He's got his head screwed on really brilliantly, doesn't take himself seriously, and really lives the life he needs to live type thing. So I just really love the fella, and the day he leaves us, it'll be really, really sad. I think I'll be more sad when he goes than I was with Cahill or Pienaar, because I know we sold Pienaar and Cahill got to go to MLS, but I think Baines will retire like Ferguson. We'll go on to this in a minute. I don't think he'll leave and go play for someone else. I think we'll have a day where we all know this is Leighton Baines' last day. The contract ends after this, and I think it will be a few tears will get shed. Yeah, it will be a sad day. But I mean, that brings me on to the point really. Jump the gun there, isn't it? No, that's a nice little segue into it, actually, Paul. It just brings me on to the fact that this time of year, now it's March, obviously his contract is up in 2 months' time, or 3 months up at the end of June, won't it? We saw last season there was this little bit of uncertainty with Baines and Jagielka. Jagielka went, and we could have done with him at times this season, but he went to Sheffield United. So what do we do with Leighton Baines? Because obviously he's 35, nearly 36. We've got Luca Dean's quite clearly our number one left back, and you'd expect that at 26, wouldn't you? Yep. You know, playing as well as he did. Would you be inclined to give him another 12 months contract if he wants it, or should we be looking at maybe bringing in a younger, you know, maybe a 21-year-old understudy for Luca Dean? I'd be tempted to give him longer than a year. I'd offer him 2. Really? Honestly, we've said it ourselves. He doesn't look like he's missed a step. Now, obviously, heaven forbid, maybe one day he'll play and it'll just be gone overnight, won't it? But that sadly happens. It happened with Distan. But I would keep Leighton Baines at the club as long as he's willing to stay. Okay. Keep him around as long as possible. And if he wants to go into coaching or something like that afterwards, then I would be really, really gutted if he went and did that somewhere else. Yeah. He's a free spirit, isn't he? He's into his photography and his art and things like that. So if he doesn't want to stay in football after his playing days are finished, then I'd wish him all the best and I'd be really happy for him. But part of me would be really sad because I think the club would just lose an absolutely brilliant ambassador and a brilliant asset. But just keep him at the club as long as he's willing to stay, offer him a contract and pull him in, keep him involved, put him right in the centre. I think obviously, Carlo Ancelotti came in at Christmas and, you know, he's obviously assessing his playing squad ahead of the summer, you know, trying to shape the squad, I think, going forward. And inevitably there will be some changes, some new faces will come in. So do you think it is important to still have that Everton fabric almost within that dressing room? So you talk, because obviously, like we've said, over the last few years, you know, people like Jagielka have gone out the door. He was the Leon Osman, who was there and knew what Everton about. Baines and Coleman are like the last two now, really, aren't they, who have been there. After them, you're talking people like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Oumar Niasse, who've been there for the longest, you know. And Niasse obviously is leaving the club in the summer, but do you think it's important for the likes of him and Coleman to maybe stay, certainly for the next 12 months while Ancelotti fully gets a grip of his playing staff and the squad? Yeah, for me, and Baines even more so than Coleman. Yeah. Because, let's be blunt, he's a better player than Coleman is. He is. But you want to have these people at the club, I think, where the new players who are coming in look at these older players and they think, I want to be like him. If I follow what he did, then I'm going to do really, really well here. Yeah. Whereas if you've got certain characters at the club who are just, let's they're not bad fellas.
No,
I'm not calling that, but they're
not the same level as him.
They're not the same.
Drive.
They're not the same level. They're not the same drive, and they're not really people who you really want to aspire to be like.
Okay.
So I think that they didn't reach the level that the fans wanted them to reach, and ultimately the club just didn't get the worth out of them. Like I don't want to name names, but I think we know what we're talking about. So I keep the fabric around, keep Coleman around, keep Baines around, because they're very level-headed fellas. I think they're the type of people who, when times are bad, they're the people you want at the club. I think that it would reassure the fans having someone like that in the background. It's like, all right, things are not going well, but Leighton Baines is there.
And he understands.
Coleman's there. Ferguson's there, like that now.
Yeah.
They understand. They'll tell people who need telling. They'll tell the manager how much it means to the fans. They'll make everyone at the club realise how much we want to win this trophy or win this derby. Just keep them around as long as you can. And obviously Ancelotti's going to bring in his own people.
Yeah.
He's got his son there with him, hasn't he? And a few other coaches. But people like Leighton Baines, who have been at Everton for so many years and just quietly gone about their business and been really under the radar but effective. They're the people who you want in any business, I think.
Yeah.
And football is a business at the end of the day. So I really hope Carlo keeps him around and finds a place for him if Leighton wants it. And if Leighton decides that he wants to try something else with his life, then I'd wish him all the best, and hopefully he can come back and sit in the stands with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think finally, just to wrap it up, the other key thing as well is, even if he's not playing, it's standards in training, isn't it? Standards every day in training. So you've got, whether it is, like you're saying, showing new players what's expected at this club. You know, you're looking at him and going, well, hang on, he's 35 and he's still out there every day working hard. That's what I've got to get. But also for people like, we've seen, you know, one of his best mates is Tom Davis, a young lad that's come through. But other young players coming into that fold, Anthony Gordon, people like that. You know, we've seen young Jared Brantwaite, who we've just signed from Carlisle. At the other end of the scale, it's a lad who's 17, you know, he's more than double his age and still doing it in the Premier League. It gives the example, doesn't it, to those younger players who will undoubtedly become part of Everton's first team training squad, i.e. Finch Farm, every single day putting the work rate in. For him to be in the shape you still say he is, you know, he looks like he's still in great shape. You don't just do that by turning up and it just happens. You do it by working hard in the gym and working hard every day, and that's a great example to set for that whole squad, isn't it? Particularly the young lads.
Yeah, and I think he's the type of person as well. If a young player was maybe having a hard time or had something they wants to get off the chest, I think a character like him is someone who they would feel comfortable to go and talk to in that sense.
Like a mentor type.
Yeah, that's the word. A mentor, someone who can put his arm around somebody and make them feel at home, ease their insecurities maybe, or if they've got something to say and they're maybe not too sure who to say it to, maybe they could tell him and Leighton, say, I'm out of team at the minute. I want to ask the manager about it or ask the coach. Do you think that's a good idea? And Leighton would tell them how to go about it, or whether it's just no for now. Just keep your head down, and your chances will come. I just think he'd be an absolutely brilliant mentor.
We've seen that, haven't we, with Luca Dean? Yeah. I've seen loads of times when Baines has been on the sub, and we've won the game. He's the first one. He goes over and hugs Dean, and for a lad who took his position, I think that's a brilliant example. I think for everybody. And for fans to see as well, that, you know, even though he hasn't been out there playing and winning that game, he still wants the lad who took his place to do well, and they're celebrating together. I think that's massively important. Yeah,
I've never ever known any story at all of Baines ever being knocked off in any time that he's been here. Even when he's been out the side a few times, I've never ever got the impression that Baines is unhappy.
And the closest we ever saw was the end of the Martinez era when
Martinez threw him under the bus.
Anfield, when he was looking the other way as he's telling him stuff. I think that was the closest we've seen to him not being too happy about stuff, wasn't it?
Even then, he kept his cool, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He didn't air his dirty washing in public, which some players would do. They'd moan at, get their brother, their agent, to cause trouble in the press, wouldn't they? Or say this club's not meeting my ambition, or I need to go because I'm not getting the chances. And
even with the United thing that you said before, that you alluded to, he probably wanted to go because at that time United were winning stuff, but were champions, and just kept his head down, didn't he?
Well, coming to that, I'll tell you just a little story. At the time, my brother Terry was a manager in Liverpool 1 in the JD. Oh yeah. And this was transfer deadline day, I think in 2013. It was the year. It was the summer when Moyes was there. Moyes had took over and they got Fellaini on deadline day.
And he wanted him
as well. Baines was in there with his kids, and he on the slide said to him, so what's happening? Are you leaving? Or have they bid for you? And Leighton just very simply said, it's nothing to do with me. I just let the club deal with it, and I'll just see how things go. So
fair enough.
that's not him essentially saying that I definitely want to stay, but it's him saying, if I stay here, then I'm going to give it my absolute best, and we'll see what happens.
And he has done, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He has done. He didn't sulk. He just carried on being absolutely brilliant. So, big one. Big, interesting, decision to be made in the summer. But I think we know where you stand on it. Let's give him another 12 months. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Would you give Leighton another 12 months as a squad player, a backup for Luca Dean, or you want to cut the sentiment and say the time's right for him to go and get a younger version in? Let us know. Whatever. If he does leave, it'll be a sad day, because he has been, as Paul said, definitely one of Everton's best signings in the Premier League era, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best left backs ever to play for Everton Football Club, and a great lad, as Paul said. Let us know in the comments section below. Big thanks to Paul for coming in, having a chat about it. Make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and if you want more videos, join us on Patreon. See you later.